So, we've probably all been hearing about the BookTok criticism right now and how basically it's just porn. Well, I've decided that I want to read a little bit more challenging literature, document it, chat about it, and let you know, as someone who normally reads this for escapism, if I think it's worth it. And I want to discuss a little bit about what makes a classic and how it can stay relevant decades later. Because I just think, obviously these books now are super popular, super trending, millions of copies being sold. But are they going to still be relevant in 10 years? I don't think so. Maybe some of them, maybe. I mean, only time will tell, but for the vast majority, I don't think anyone will even remember these books. Especially because all the microtrends going on right now. So let's talk about how classics even came to be. So the books I've picked out for this video are all fiction. So why are these stories still being talked about today? Well, I think a big part of why classics are still relevant is because of the popularity. So obviously, aside from people like me, I'm reading these books in my free time. There's college English classes, like lectures being told about these. There's high school English classes, like books being assigned, chapters to be read, discussed in a classroom setting. Academics has a big part of reading. So I think what makes classic literature so captivating is that so much of it is up for interpretation and to have discussions about. So everyone can have their own opinion of symbolism and like what the author meant. Obviously, we've all been there when the English teacher wants to know what the teacher wants to know what the author thought about something, and you're like, I don't fucking know. But I do think that is what keeps classics relevant, is the discussions being had about them. The morality of characters and symbolism, talking about what all of that means. So if we compare that to the average book on BookTok, just to name a few, some huge books like Shatter Me, Six of Crows. So there's obviously still discussion about these books being had, right? I'm not trying to say that no one talks about these books and they just make videos and the microtrends and they're super popular, right? Obviously, people still talk about these books, but in a different way than you talk about it in classics. Because most of the time, when you read books like Six Crows and Shatter Me, Colleen Hoover, the motivation of the characters and the cause of their actions. Like, nothing's really up for interpretation or like to question or talk about. And maybe there is some. I'm not saying there's not any, but there's definitely way less. And you definitely like already know more about the characters. They're more one-dimensional and not as like in depth, right? So, and don't get me wrong, I still love Crooked Kingdom and Shatter Me and like so many other popular books that I found because of BookTok. I still love them, but I mean, I can still recognize that they lack the same depth that like Romeo and Juliet would have, Okay, so the first book that I decided to read was Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. This did take me a really long time to read. And the first 100 pages, I don't remember how long it was. I'm gonna guess and say like 400 pages it was. The first 100 pages were pretty damn slow. But I also think that's pretty reasonable. Cause, establish your plot, get to know your characters. So I guess that's okay. I want to find a summary on this real fast. Cause I don't remember. Okay, I found a summary on sparknotes.com. It's kind of long, so I'm just going to like brush over it a little bit. Okay, so basically, this guy gets released from the Oklahoma State Prison after serving 4 years for manslaughter conviction. His name is Tom Joad, so this book follows the Joad family. He goes to his family's farm in Oklahoma, and basically his family's not there. He runs into the priest. So basically all the farmers there, including his family, got laid off because the tractors were, so like a bunch of families would farm, because it's a big field and that's a lot of work, so a lot of people had to do it, right, to make the times. And then tractors were invented and they basically replaced all those people. So there's so many people now that like don't have jobs because you're basically replacing like, I mean, I don't know exactly what the ratio was, but you know, like let's say like 10 men for 1 man driving a tractor, you know, like so basically they've heard that there's lots of stuff going on in California for like farmers. There's lots more opportunity for farmers there. But the problem is everybody's getting laid off their jobs, so they're all heading there. So basically it's about their journey to California, and life is really hard for all of them, okay? Yeah, this summary is like really long, so that's all we really need to know. So the writing in this book, phenomenal, okay? Great writing. The setting is an awful place to be. It's really depressing, and I always like think things are gonna get better, and then it gets 10 times worse. So this definitely is not a fun summer read. There's a movie, and I haven't seen it, but I would like to. So overall, this book makes it feel like you're living in the Great Depression, and it makes you really empathetic towards the people in that time period who had to deal with it. And I think it also makes me think about where we're heading with jobs in the future, because basically the whole reason that the family had to like pack up everything and leave and go to California is because they're getting laid off of these tractors, right? So it makes me concerned with, you know, like all the talk about AI and robots taking over human jobs. It makes me just a little concerned. We don't need another big depression happening, guys. Let's not let that happen. So anyways, I gave this book 5 stars on Goodreads. And yes, this is me promoting my Goodreads, guys. Go follow my Goodreads, link in description. So overall, I would recommend you read this book. I think if you haven't, you should, especially if you're American. If you're not American, like, okay, whatever. You might not care about the Great Depression in America. If you're an American, I think you definitely should read this book once in your life. Yeah. Okay, it's a few days later, and now I don't know how sensitive this thing is, but I keep looking back at the videos of me talking, and I'm like, so much. And it's like, I've had to record this more than once. Also, my sister keeps screaming in her room, and I don't know if it will pick up on the mic, but I'm hoping that it won't, because obviously we don't want to hear that in the background. So I'm hoping this will be better. Anyways, this time we're talking about Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Sorry, is this grossing you out? I hope not. Anyways, this time we're talking about Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. My first thing to say is that this book was so much harder to read than Grapes of Wrath was. I had to read it so carefully, like sometimes I had to read the pages like 3 or 4 times just to understand like the little details. I understood the overall story obviously because it's not that hard to get, but like the little details I'd be like, wait, is this the scientist? Is this the brother? Who is this guy again? I don't remember. Wait, I thought you were the bad, just like the background characters, like the more minuscule details were harder to get because I'm too stupid. I have TikTok has rallied my brain. I have TikTok attention span. My sister won't be quiet. Anyways. So here's a summary for you if you don't already know what Frankenstein is about. So, Frankenstein is about a scientist who essentially creates this living being, out of dead body parts. And once he realizes that this creature that is obviously called Frankenstein, once he realizes that Frankenstein is alive, he rebukes him, and the creature follows him around and basically ruins his life. So he murders his family and makes his life hell. And honestly, I don't feel bad for him, because I feel like if you're going to create a life, you're responsible for it, right? That's kind of common sense. But he didn't understand that. Also, I can't remember what his name is, so we're going to refer to him as him. He was a mad scientist. That's all I remember. So this is obviously a darker read. I recommend fall, winter reading. I read this in the fall, winter, even though I'm filming this in August. That's fine. So, anyways, I think it's important for me to talk about the introduction to this book. And I'm not talking about the intro to the story, I'm talking about the written introduction, right? Okay, that introduces the author and stuff that's written by someone else that is usually in the beginning of classics. So imagine that you're in the year 1818, and obviously women don't have the same rights that they do today. So Mary Shelley originally published this book under a pen name because it was totally unheard of. Okay, also, I don't know if you can hear, I don't know how sensitive this is. I need a real mic that I can, I'm just gonna try to stop moving. Okay. Okay, so it was basically unheard of for a woman to write books, especially such a topic like Frankenstein. So everyone, basically critics and men, decided that Mary Shelley was crazy and mentally disturbed for writing a book like this. And I think this context only makes me appreciate the book more, because it truly was groundbreaking at the time, and reading it now, knowing its lasting impact that this piece of literature has had, so much farther down the line, is truly the perfect response to those misogynistic men calling her mentally disturbed. This is still relevant to us today. This is an amazing piece of literature that is taught in classrooms. She's not mentally disturbed. She's smarter than you ever could be. And so I think if you haven't already read this, you have to go put it on your TBR. I rated this book 5 stars on Goodreads. I think everyone should read this book. Okay, on that note, I am going to go ahead and bring this video to a close, but you guys should definitely let me know if you like this style of kind of video documentaries about books better than what I've been doing. So I do like this kind of content, and I would like to continue to do this. So just give me some feedback. If you've made it this far, comment a heart. If you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and subscribe and like the video. It helps me out a lot. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.